MLR run number 2, folks, is done and dusted. You can probably hear some cicadas buzzing around in the background. It's a pretty sunny day here in New Zealand as our summer cracks on. Before the end of summer, the cicadas are doing their thing. But yeah, 6 games at the weekend. I managed to catch up on a fair bit of the game time. I think I only saw one or maybe almost 2 games kind of in completeness, like a couple of halves and a couple of highlights. But yeah, it's been a good weekend. It was rainy over the weekend, so I got more chance to watch rugby. What can I say? The first one was Seattle and Utah. Seattle now 2 from 2. Utah, who were in the playoffs last year, have not managed to get a win yet. I mean, we're only 2 games into the season, but they just seem to be leaving things late, do the Warriors. I mean, I only caught this one after halftime. So halftime, it's 14-3 to Seattle. When I flick the game on, it seems to be mostly Utah. It gets worse for Seattle because they get a yellow carded. They get a yellow card to one of their props, which means they have to go to uncontested scrums because they can't bring the other prop back on. So it's 15-13. But do you think the Warriors can score? No. And even Seattle get a penalty towards the end of the yellow card. So it's 17-3. Utah finally get a couple of tries. Teo set up one with an offload to make it 17-10, so at least that's kind of game on for the last 10 minutes. Seattle did kick a penalty. It's Alatimu. Shaves the post but manages to go in. My feed ended up getting a little bit broken towards the end, but then Utah did get one more try to make it 20-17, but Seattle managed to hang on. Utah just keep leaving it too late. That's 2 weeks in a row, like I said, so yeah, none from 2, but Seattle, their start's gone pretty well compared to last year. They're looking really good, and they always get good home support, which is pretty pleasing. So, Seattle had to make more tackles, but that penalty is the difference. Seattle are 2 from 2. They're 3rd in the West. Utah are none from 2. They are 6th in the West, but at least they've picked up a couple of losing bonus points. Toronto and LA. That was played in Canada, not in Toronto, it was in BC. But, I mean, good to see that the Arrows back in Canada for the first time in what seems like forever, so that was pleasing. They couldn't get the result they wanted for the home crowd. The game kind of blows out a bit towards the end. I mean, 31-16. The Giltinis kind of back on form. Again, I tuned in just before halftime. The crowd seemed to be really good, pretty vocal as well, and it was like 16-17. After 50-odd minutes. And then LA ended up getting a yellow card with Jordan Trainer, former Blues man from my team. Got attempted intercept that ended up, getting a deliberate knock on. So he got yellow carded. Now, to be fair, the feed in this game was cutting in and out a lot. And it wasn't just me, because I could see someone else on social media saying their feed was a bit inconsistent. I'm not sure what it was like if you were watching on the actual TV rather than streaming it. But yeah, the Arrows can't score for that whole kind of second half period, and the Giltinis just managed to run in some tries. Hermajes gets 1. He's got 2 in 2 weeks now for his new team. That one was Toronto failing to take a high ball. Goddard ran a really good support line, the halfback for the Giltinis. So, there was another yellow card for the Giltinis towards the end, but as I said, the Arrows just couldn't quite capitalize on things. So I'll be pretty disappointed with that one. LA had more carries in their game and just managed to kind of put the pinch on the Arrows. So yeah, none from 2. The Arrows, they are 5th in the East. LA are 5th in the West with a 1-1 record, having dropped that opening game. But I was just really pleased to see the Arrows back in Canada. What can I say? I think they'll get their season underway with a win at some point, but hasn't just happened yet. San Diego and Dallas, I watched the Lions' share of this game. I think I missed maybe like the first 10-15 minutes. But yeah, it was a surprising one, 37-29. Looks like it was a pretty comfortable victory for the Legion, but they did need to go, kind of blow the scoreline out a little bit towards the end of the game. And interestingly, Dallas, like the new team who should probably be getting well beaten by most sides, they were leading. Like, what was the score? 9-point lead. With, I don't know, it was like 15 minutes to go. Maybe it was 20. But, yeah, that was a bit disappointing for them that they conceded some late tries. But, as I said, new team, they're playing all these established sides. It's maybe a bit more to be expected. And Dallas missed a fair few penalty goals early. Like, when I switched on after 16 minutes, it was 7-6, and they already mentioned that Dallas had missed like 2 or 3 kicks at goal. So, yeah, that's one that they, I guess, will obviously want to clean up. Goal kicking is a trainable skill. Dallas were under a fair bit of pressure, but you have to say their maul defense and tackling was pretty solid, to the point where eventually the Legion had to opt the 3 points because they needed to kind of get something out of all the pressure. Dallas, I feel like their defense, despite the fact they shipped 37 points, for the most part looked a bit sharper than their attack. It took them a long time to crack the Legion, but they eventually did it before halftime, 13-10 and then 16-13 at halftime. So because Dallas got a penalty right before the break. They had that 29-20 lead like I mentioned, but then San Diego went wide to Basson. They got a quick fire double. They monstered the Dallas scrum towards the end. So 37-29 is the final score. Like I said, there's encouraging signs there for the Jackals, even if they got well beaten. And the Legion, NOLA was doing a bit of kicking, which was interesting, like kicking from a goal line dropout. Does a bit of everything apparently. So it was an interesting game. I mean, that's a good enough win for the Legion, right? But I don't know. They wouldn't have liked to be down by 9 points to this new team. But anyway, I think both sides will take something out of that one. So the Legion 2 from 2, second in the West, looking pretty good, and the Jackals none from 2, maybe to be expected. But I think they're only going to get better because, new team building together, the coaching staff, there was kind of dramas getting all that sorted. I think they're going to get their coach next season right with visa delays. So, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. The next one, the Sabercats in New York. New York with their first game, having had the bye in the round 1. And the Sabercats, a low scoring one. I did watch this one, I think pretty much the whole game. I had the kids running around and whatnot because it was like a wet Sunday afternoon over here. But, didn't see any scoring for ages. Like, halftime was still 0-0. I think it was 50-odd minutes until we got any scoring. There were certainly a few chances. There was some TMO. There was at least one TMO review in the first half. Houston had to drop it out when Rooney had gone close. I don't know if you can call them Rooney anymore because they're just called Rugby in New York now, even though I haven't updated the logo. They've dropped the United, but I thought the Sabercats with all, based on what we saw last week, I thought the Sabercats maybe would crack on and go 2 from 2, but it's a late New York winner that gets done. Like Ed Fido gets the first try of the game finally down the left wing, but then Rooney get a yellow card, Breakley gets yellow carded, and then Houston don't take long to punish that. It's like, I don't know, a minute later, so it's 7-5. That's on like 66 minutes, and there's no scoring until, as the game just seems to be kind of winding down, Ed Fido beats his man on the left wing and just tears it. So they missed the conversion. It's 10 points to 7. They have time to restart the game at the death, but Rooney do well to gather it, and then it's game over. So really tight game with kind of a blockbusting finish. The Sabercats will be bit disappointed. Like, both sides missed a lot of chances in this game, to be fair. The Sabercats guys had to make a fair few more tackles. Like, Rooney probably should have scored in that first half, but they also did concede more penalties than the Sabercats. So, Rooney get their season underway. Andy Ellis had to play the majority of the game because he came on early, but 1-0 from them. The Sabercats are 1-1. So Rooney are 3rd in the East and Houston are 4th in the West. So, most teams are either 2-0 or 0-2. So Houston, one of the few teams to win one and drop one. NOLA and ATL was on at the same time as the Houston-New York game, so I didn't see any of this game. I had to watch it on highlights. Again, kind of a low-scoring one, but ATL are looking pretty dangerous. They looked dangerous last week, and they continue to look dangerous. So 25 minutes, the first scoring was a NOLA penalty, and they only scored penalties in this game. They couldn't get over the try line. But the first try from ATL before halftime was a bit of a crack one. I think it was one of the locks. Got like a big line break through the defence and then an offload. So 7-3, and then I think it was 14-3 at halftime. But both sides, like, this is a real game, seemingly from the highlights, where those final passes just weren't sticking after they would create those chances. So, NOLA did have a chance to, like, maul it when it's 9-14 at the death. I mean, one of the ATL tries, I think, was a really kind of mucked up line-out throw, right? But it was like an overthrow, and they just kind of managed to pounce on it. But NOLA had a chance at the death, like attacking line-out. And, yeah, they went through a bunch of phases, but eventually ATL turned them over and just kicked it out. So, yeah. Bonus point loss for NOLA, but they're still none from 2. They're 4th in the East. ATL 2-2. Away win from them. Penalties conceded and tackles for them pretty high in this game, so maybe built on the back of the defence. I'm not sure I 100% trust the stats on the MLR site, but yeah, good win. Good win for the ATL guys. And lastly, the only kind of real big blowout was the Gilgronis over Old Glory 57-12. I think this one started like maybe half an hour after the previous 2 games, so, and I couldn't find a feed of it on the Rugby Network. So, and even interestingly on the YouTube channel, the video, at least when I looked, for this game is AG against Dallas from last week. So I had to go onto the Rugby Network site to find the highlights, which was just a bit bizarre. Whoever uploaded the video uploaded the wrong one. But, I mean, 30 seconds in and AG are on the board. So, yeah. It's a weird one as well, because the crowd didn't look that big, but it was loud. So maybe there's more fans sitting on the side of the camera. I'm not sure. They usually try to fill up the side opposite the camera so you can see more people at the ground, right? But yeah, 30 seconds and there's a try. Like both the wingers for AG get in. Dominguez gets 2. What's his name? Mooneyham gets 2. It's like 36-0 at half time. Like it's a proper blowout. Like not like the Giltinis who scored a few late and San Diego who scored a few late to kind of blow the scorelines out. This one was a rout from pretty much the start of the game. So I'm not sure what's going on with DC. AG are looking like a pretty good team. Remember, they were looking solid last year. They were on the verge of the playoffs, so they've taken a step up, seemingly. I mean, they did get 1 try at the start of the second half, DC, to maybe turn things around, but immediately conceded a try 2 minutes later. So, I mean, if you ever played games at lunchtime, at school, playtime, whatever, playing games of rugby, sometimes you play last try wins. Like, if by those rules, DC won this game because they did score the last try. Roberts Tanana got his second, but in professional rugby, that's not how it goes, surprisingly enough. So, yeah, that's a big old disappointing result for them. But man, kudos to AG. That's a heck of a win. They are 1st in the West, and DC are 6th in the East. So yeah, there you go. MLR wrap up for round number 2. We look forward. Remember, the Free Jacks were on the bye. Look forward to seeing how the games go for next week. Kind of pleasing that the majority of the games were tight. And as I said, the ones that finished by more than a score, for the most part, were a few late tries. The games were still competitive, kind of halftime, 50 minutes, that kind of thing. So, yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts. Any kind of predictions on who you think is going to go the distance? It is hard to say at this point. Obviously, ATL's 2-0, they're looking all right. But if the stats are true, they were still under the pump a wee bit against NOLA. They certainly could have lost it at the death. The Sabercats, as I said, I thought looked better maybe than they were with their win last week. So they were found out a bit this week. Seattle's 2-0, hence me wearing their jersey. So we'll see if these teams can crack on next week. You guys have any thoughts? And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.